This is Crime Speaks. On May 16, 2025, chaos erupted in New Orleans. 10 inmates escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail, including Derrick Groves, a convicted murderer with deep ties to one of the city's most infamous legacies. Who is Derrick Groves? How did he escape? What went wrong inside the jail? And how does this case reflect on the system meant to deliver justice? This is the story. Derrick Groves was born on June 19, 1997, and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. By the time he was a teenager, his name was already known to local law enforcement. Not for his own actions at first, but for the shadow cast by a traumatic family history. In 1994, his grandmother, Kim Groves, was murdered in one of the most shocking cases of police corruption in American history. After she filed a complaint against an officer with the New Orleans Police Department, she was targeted for assassination. That officer, Len Davis, used his badge and criminal connections to order her death, and Kim Groves was gunned down in front of her home. The case made national headlines. Len Davis was ultimately sentenced to death in federal court, and the department's corruption was laid bare. But for the Groves family, the pain didn't stop. It passed from one generation to the next. Derrick Groves grew up in that aftermath. By the time he was in his 20s, he had begun to make his own name, not as a victim, but as a violent offender. On Mardi Gras Day in 2018, the streets of New Orleans were alive with music, parades, and celebration. But what was supposed to be a day of joy turned deadly. Eyewitnesses reported gunfire in a crowded area, the sound of an automatic weapon tearing through the air. Panic ensued. People scattered. When the chaos cleared, 2 individuals were dead and several others wounded. The weapon of choice? An AK-style rifle. The crime shocked the community, not only for its brazenness, but for its timing, in the middle of the city's biggest public celebration. Investigators faced immediate pressure to find those responsible. Over time, evidence pointed to Derrick Groves. It would take 6 years for the case to reach trial. In October of 2024, Groves was convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder in connection to the Mardi Gras shooting. Prosecutors presented forensic evidence, eyewitness testimony, and cell phone location data placing him at the scene. The jury deliberated for just 3 hours. Groves was awaiting transfer to a state prison to serve a life sentence when he made his next move. An escape that would put him back in the headlines and put law enforcement on high alert. At around 5 a.m. on May 16, 2025, Groves and 9 other inmates initiated a coordinated escape from the Orleans Parish Jail. According to internal reports, they had been working on the plan for weeks, possibly with help from the outside or from within. Their method was shockingly low-tech. They removed a sink and toilet unit from a shared cell, revealing a breach in the wall. Crawling through that space, they made their way into a maintenance corridor. From there, they reached a loading dock and finally scaled an outer wall. The entire escape took less than 30 minutes. Jail officials didn't realize they were gone until the morning head count, nearly 3 hours later. By then, the group had vanished into the city. The response was swift. The FBI, U.S. Marshals, and local police formed a joint task force to cover the fugitives. Within the first 48 hours, 4 of the escapees were recaptured. Over the next week, 3 more were found and returned to custody. But as of this recording, Derrick Groves remains at large. Alongside him is another escapee, Antoine Massey, also considered armed and dangerous. If Derrick Groves is found, he will face additional charges, likely including escape, obstruction, and possibly conspiracy. If he resists arrest, there's no telling how the situation may escalate. What is certain is this: his story has not ended, and neither has the fight for justice in the city of New Orleans. Thank you for watching Crime Speaks. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. We bring you stories others won't, with truth, depth, and respect for the victims. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and stay listening.